In 1965, there was a girl born in a small town in the southwest of England. As she began to grow up, she started to realise her dream in life was to become an author. Her parents were quick to dismiss her dreams, telling her that she had an overactive imagination, but it'd never pay her mortgage or allow her to live properly. However, she was certain that she wanted to write novels. She went on to study French and classics at a university in England and graduated in 1986. However, her determination and dreams of being an author had still not gone away. She went on to working at a research desk, but quickly realised she wasn't paying much attention to her work, but rather typing up stories on the computer. At just 25, her mother sadly passed away, and by 26, she was living in another country and teaching English. It was here where she met and married a television journalist, and in July 1993, they had a child together. By November of the same year, they separated. Despite what was arguably a difficult childhood and beginning to adulthood, she carried on following her dream to become an author. In fact, it was on a delayed train in 1990 where she came up with the idea for a novel and spent the following 5 years planning the story. After her marriage broke down, she quickly moved back to the UK and went to live in Edinburgh with her daughter. With no employment when she first returned, she spent every spare moment planning and writing. Fast forward to 1995 and she had completed her first novel, and she quickly set about sending this to publishers, only to be met with rejection after rejection. In fact, she was rejected 12 times. Nevertheless, this wasn't going to stop a determined author chasing her dreams, and she wasn't going to give up without contacting every single publisher she could. And then, who was once this little girl with a big dream, got the response she'd been waiting for. A publisher was willing to make a deal and print 500 copies of her first ever novel. The publisher suggested that she picks a pen name with 2 initials rather than using her full name, as they believe that boys may not like to read books written by women. She chose the initial of her first name, followed by the initial of her grandmother's first name. The book was then published in June 1997, and by March of 1999, over 300,000 copies had been sold in the UK alone. Across the pond in the United States, she had sold to a publisher for more than $100,000, which at the time was unprecedented. Just over a year after her first book was published, her second book was already being sold in the UK. And of October the same year, she had signed a 7-figure deal with a production company who went on to adapt her books into record-breaking movies. J.K. Rowling never gave up on the dream that she had ever since she was a little girl. Even after being rejected 12 times, she persisted in chasing her dream and trying to get a publisher on board. She knew until she'd contacted every publisher there is, then there was always a chance. The story of J.K. Rowling's upbringing and how she came to be where she is today is extremely important in allowing us to realise the true potential of ourselves and our ability to achieve our own dreams. Despite the difficulties in your life, whether these are from a young age or as you're growing up, you can still pursue your dreams and achieve them. And of course, there will always be rejections along the way. There will always be those who say you can't do it. There will always be doubts placed in your mind. But ultimately, you're in charge of your own future. And as the author herself once said, we do not need magic to transform our world. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves already.